everyone, welcome to Mystery Woman channel, and if you like this video, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Let's get into the video. In today's episode, I will talk about 24-year-old NikkiYadav, allegedly executed by her husband, initially reported as her live-in partner Sahil Gehlot. This case was widely reported in the media as a live-in murder case, and there have been a few high-profile cases recently. In this video, I'd like to talk about her life and death, and with it, give her a voice, get her story out into the world, and get people like yourself to take notice, and eventually give her father Sunil Yadav and her extended family a fighting chance at justice. NikkiYadav was born in a small village called Kehri Kumar, Jhajjar, which is about 144 kilometers from India's capital city of New Delhi. She was brought up in an average Indian middle-class family with her siblings and father Sunil Yadav, who runs an auto repair shop. I did not find any details about her mother during my research. She grew up close to her sister, who had become her confidant in the growing up years. Nikki was studying in Gurugram, a suburb of New Delhi, away from her family, and she was considered a good student, very ambitious and focused on making something of herself. She dreamt of being a medical professional, and towards this dream, Nikki had started to prepare for Indian medical entrance exams. One of the toughest exams in the world. Thousands of students take these exams every year and only hundreds get in. Students, to crack these tough exams, spend months and even years attending preparatory classes so that they can achieve the target grades. In 2018, Nikki started to attend preparatory classes for her medical entrance, and during this period, she met a boy, and his name Sahil Gehlot. Sahil came from a village called Mitro, which was around 40 kilometers from her own village. As Nikki, Sahil was also preparing for another entrance exam to help get a job with the Indian government services. They met each other as they would take the same bus to their respective classes, and that is how their friendship began. Over a period, as their friendship blossomed, they also fell behind in their study goals, and eventually both failed in their respective entrance tests. Even though Nikki managed to get over 90% in her year 12 exams, she couldn't manage to score the target cutoff for medical entrance. Now they had to choose different streams of studies, but again ended up in the same college in the city of Noida, near New Delhi. No doubt that it was designed by both of them to be close to each other. It is quite evident that both managed to keep their relationship a secret from the parents and larger family for the most of this timeline. There are, however, minor indications that Nikki's sister may have known about it from the early days. However, if any of their friends knew, nobody has so far stepped up with any information at the time of this video. Over a period of 4 years, that is between 2018 and 2022, Nikki had finished her bachelor's in arts and enrolled in the master's program with an eventual goal of gaining a PhD and being a professor in a university, while Sahil was unemployed since the end of his D Pharma course in 2020. They probably had lived together at some point during the relationship, but at the time of the murder, Sahil lived with his parents and Nikki may have shared an apartment as a paying guest with her sister. Her father confirmed this in an interview with the print media. He refuted those claims that they were still in a live-in relationship. At this stage, with over 4 years of relationship behind them, I believe that Nikki felt she was ready to discuss about her hopes of marrying Sahil with her family, and she asked Sahil to have a similar conversation with his parents. I'm not sure as to why Nikki did not confide with her father about Sahil, but what we now know is that Sahil did speak to his family about Nikki, but was met with overwhelming resistance. This resistance was based on the age-old Indian caste system playing a part. Sahil's family, the Gehlots, were considered as upper caste, who held sway in the village, while Nikki's family, the Yadavs, were considered as the lower caste, tasked to do menial jobs and generally not seen as equal to the upper caste families such as the Gehlots. I think that Nikki knew her family would have similar concerns. This social ecosystem plays a big part in what happens next. Nikki, assuming that Sahil intended to marry her but was afraid of his family, kept trying to persuade him to speak with his family. Now, twist in the tale is that there are reports that I have seen where it does look like both Nikki and Sahil got married in an Arya Samaj temple, witnessed by a couple of their acquaintances sometime in 2020. Police later confirmed this to be true, as this was largely a secret. Nikki was trying to get this informal wedding formalized with the blessings of both families, and she wanted to have a traditional Indian Hindu marriage ceremony. While Nikki was trying to persuade Sahil, we now know that Sahil's family had arranged his marriage with a different girl from a family that matched their view of social hierarchy, and thus assumed to be as early as November of 2022. Now, an important aspect of this story to understand is that, based on reports I've seen, it doesn't look like Nikki and Sahil were in a live-in relationship at this stage, since their marriage was still a secret. Nikki was living as a paying guest along with his sister, and Sahil had moved in with his parents. Nikki at this stage was still hopeful that Sahil wanted a life with her. She had no idea that Sahil was planning on getting married to a different girl of his family's choice. He had given up on them ever agreeing to his and Nikki's union. His family ever agreeing to his and Nikki's union. Now, whether he was happy with this turn of events or was going along with it because he was too scared to confront his father, I don't know. From investigation reports and timeline being built by the investigation agencies, it is understood that Nikki came to know about Sahil's proposed wedding to another girl when she spoke with one of his cousins. This came as a shock to her. She confronted Sahil. He confessed. But as usual, he put the blame on his family. They were forcing him to marry this other girl and suggested that they should elope, that Nikki and Sahil should elope. Nikki probably thought that this is what Sahil wanted and looked at it as a solution to their predicament. She was blissfully unaware of the betrayal coming her way. Nikki's love and her misplaced trust in Sahil now leads to her death as the next set of timeline unfolds. Nikki had booked tickets for Goa, situated in the southwest coast of India, a very popular holiday destination. She had booked a ticket for the 8th of February 2023. I believe at this stage she had no inclination about Sahil's impending nuptials. Their plan was to take a flight from New Delhi to Goa, far away from their families and problems they had in their lives. But Sahil was a no-show on the day. He says that they couldn't book his tickets. Maybe this was another one of his excuses. On 9th February 2023, there are a couple of CCTV footages from her apartment that have emerged, and they show Nikki going about her life. In one of them, she's just walking up the stairs to her apartment. And in another one, she looks like she's waiting for someone. She is pacing, agitated. And I wonder if she was waiting for Sahil to make an appearance. She had tried calling him all day but was not getting through to him. He couldn't contact her because he was busy getting married to another girl, ruining her life in the process. Panicked, Nikki kept trying few of their friends, and finally she managed to speak to one of his cousins, and through him found out that Sahil was in the middle of his 3-day wedding ceremony with this other girl. Finally, end of the day, Sahil came to her apartment and the truth finally came out. His marriage was really happening. He was still pretending that this was without his consent. He somehow managed to convince her to run away with him. I suspect all he wanted was to get her away from the apartment and get her on her own. Nikki, of course, didn't suspect a thing. So it was decided that they will run away to the state of Himachal Pradesh, situated in the north of India. And on the 10th February 2023, sometime during the early hours, maybe around between 1 and 2 a.m., Sahil and Nikki traveled in Sahil's cousin's car. There they found out that they'll have to take the bus from Anand Vihar station. And when they reached Anand Vihar station, they were told to go to Kashmir Gate bus stand to travel to Himachal Pradesh from Delhi. Police were able to piece together this information through the GPS of the car. While at the bus stand, it does look like Nikki realized finally that Sahil is not ready to elope with her, and it seemed to her that he probably prefers getting married to the girl of his family's choice. At the same time, his family was trying to contact him because he was the groom, and they were blowing up his phone with repeated calls, and this bothered Nikki and they argued. At this point, Nikki threatened that she will release their wedding photos and record on social media, and she'll also send it to his extended family unless he abandons his marriage plans and accepts her as his wife. I think this is the stage when Sahil decided to act on his final plans to remove Nikki from his life forever. As they sat in the borrowed car at the bus station, arguing about the next steps, Sahil took hold of his mobile phone charger and strangled her, suffocating and killing her on the spot. Timeline of Nikki's death may be somewhere between 4 a.m. to 9 a.m. on the 10th of February 2023. During my research, I have heard many experts say that death by strangulation is one of the hardest ways to go, as it takes at least 2 minutes or even more for a person to die. It's like slowly drowning in your own breath. A person may lose consciousness only after a few seconds, but the killer has to keep choking for over a minute to extinguish the life out of someone. And to do that to someone you supposedly loved and spent more than 4 years of your life with is really something. And it shows what kind of a person Sahil truly is. Later in the police interrogation, he admits to the fact that he did not feel any remorse on his action. In fact, he says that post killing her, he sat with her body for a while, deciding what to do next. He had planned to just throw her body from the car to make it look like either an accident or a suicide. At no point did he show any indication that he regretted what he did. All he wanted was for Nikki to be out of his life by whatever means necessary. He drove down nearly 40 kilometers from New Delhi to his family-owned dhaba by the highway. It had been shut for the past few years, and he decided to stuff her body in a refrigerator in the dhaba. He used a cord to tie the fridge doors and turned the fridge towards the wall. Within few hours, he was back at his family home, got ready for his wedding, and got married to his unsuspecting bride. All this within few hours after Nikki's murder. When asked about Nikki during interrogation, he admitted that she loved him, took care of him, that she was a caring person. But I guess same cannot be said about him. 13th February 2023. On 13th February, Nikki's father, Sunil Yadav, was quite worried as he had not heard from his daughter since the 10th February. It was quite unlike her, as she had made a point of always speaking with him every day and also with her younger sister, and both of them had not heard from her since 10. As a worried father, he started to reach out to everyone he thought may know about Nikki's whereabouts. He called her friends, acquaintances, their extended family to find clues in his desperate search. I understand that during one of these calls, he managed to find the name of Sahil Gehlot as a possible contact who may know about Nikki's whereabouts. Sunil Yadav, desperate for his daughter, reached out to Sahil for the first time that day. Sahil picked up the phone and he admitted that Nikki was with him on the 10th. He went to drop her off at the bus station as she was planning to travel to Missouri for a holiday on her own. He then went on to suggest that maybe she had forgotten to charge her phone, maybe she lost her phone, something silly like that, and that she'll probably contact him soon. And then Sahil hung up the phone because he was apparently too busy to talk. Nikki's father suspected that Sahil was misleading him. He accused Sahil of giving false information and did not believe that his daughter can go 2-3 days without contacting anyone. And he started to think that something bad may have happened to her. And in his quest to find out where his daughter was, he spoke to Sahil's father at some point, and Sunil Yadav recalls Sahil's father made some vague, disturbing remarks about Nikki as if to suggest that she may not be alive. And at this point, he decided to call the police. When police began their investigation, someone recalls that they had received a strange anonymous tip on the 10th, suggesting that they may have seen a murder happen and a body being taken inside a dhaba. Without any other information and caller hanging up on the tip line, police had termed it as a prank call. But with this complaint in place and timeline of 10th February piquing their interest, police started to investigate this issue further through the day of 14th February 2023. On the morning of 14th February 2023, police got another anonymous tip, this time naming Sahil directly, suggesting that there is a body in the rundown dhaba owned by his family. This information definitely sped up the investigation. They reached now closed Khao Pio dhaba owned by Sahil's family and conducted an extensive search of the dhaba. They found, among other things, a blue refrigerator wrapped with a plastic cord. As they opened the door, they found Nikki's body, and Sahil was immediately taken into custody. 15th February 2023 onwards, as the police interrogations began, Sahil admitted to killing Nikki. He initially suggested that he did so on his own in a fit of rage. He told how he didn't have any other choice. On one hand, his family was pressuring him to get married with the girl of their choice. His father was threatening to take his life if he refused. And on the other hand, Nikki wanted her due. If he refused, she would make their relationship public. He felt like this was the easiest way to get out of his predicament. If he killed Nikki, then he can go about his new life like his family wanted. What I also understand now is that as interrogation progressed, Sahil painted a picture of how his family conspired to kill Nikki and dispose of her body. Their original plan was to kill her and either show it as an accident by running a heavy truck over her body or bury the body in the village fields so no one can find her. His father and 2 of his cousins and 2 of his friends were all involved in this whole elaborate plan. Although all these plans went awry when Sahil killed her in a fit of rage on the day of his marriage. And as everyone else were in the middle of wedding ceremonies, they couldn't carry out the disposing of the body as they had planned. Now they had to wait for the wedding ceremonies to end before they could find a suitable time to bring their plan to fruition. But somehow, someone had seen Sahil bring the body and had decided to contact the police, thereby disrupting their plans to dispose of the body secretly. There is a strong evidence to suggest that Sahil's father knew of his marriage with Nikki, and he still went ahead and arranged another marriage for him. In a way, became a catalyst in her murder. One of the accused is reportedly a police constable himself. I suspect that from the beginning, Nikki had no chance. She was up against some really bad people who didn't care a whit about her life, deemed it appropriate to kill her rather than accept her as their daughter-in-law. Her caring nature, her dedication to their son, desire for a happy life with him, nothing mattered because she was born in a wrong caste. That was her only sin that brought a tragic end to her life. In conclusion, even though it brings no solace to her family, but the fact that they were able to recover her body and give her a suitable burial may give them some closure. I think he was looking for is formal acceptance of their relationship by Sahil and his family, plus society at large, but it did not fit into the social standing view of Sahil's family. She had to pay the ultimate price for it. Thankfully, all 5 of the accused are in custody awaiting trial. For now, all we can hope next is for the Indian justice system to work and bring Nikki's alleged murderers to swift justice and give that eventual closure to her family. If Nikki's story made an impact on you, please subscribe for more such stories. Until next time.